Alright, so what I wanted to do tonight was kind of take a look at MX Linux. It's a distribution I haven't really looked at in quite some time. Um, it's sort of based for, well, it's sort of for like, I guess, new user friendly. Um, and it has a lot of their own in-house utilities that they've created and built for just this system. So I wanted to download it and take a look. It has obviously the standard edition, which is the 23.6. That is based off Debian Bookworm at the moment. I'm sure they'll eventually upgrade that to Trixie when it gets released. They have the AHS edition, which has a newer kernel, actually 6.14, which is, I think, the current kernel. And probably has updated Mesa and things like that. So if you have a newer system, generally speaking, MX Linux would sort of be like for older hardware in a way, but you can't obviously use it on a newer system. But if you do have a relatively new system, you're going to want to go with the AHS version. I'm going to go ahead and just download the standard um, edition here, which is based off XFCE. You can get KDE and you can get Fluxbox and all that. Their flagship edition, the edition that they kind of promote, is the XFCE version. So we're going to go ahead and download it, and then we will be right back and give it a shot. I'm going to run through the install and just kind of look through some of the utilities that it has, and just a real quick first look at MX Linux. Again, I haven't looked at it in probably 2-3 years, so I'm curious myself kind of how MX Linux has progressed over the years in a way. Okay, so when you boot the system up, this is what you're going to be greeted with. This is just the grub boot menu. So we're going to go ahead and you can check the live media. You can change a few settings here. But we're going to go ahead and boot this live media up and take a look at MX Linux Libretto. Alright, there we go. That booted pretty quick even on this crappy... I'm on a crappy laptop and we're using a virtual machine. So hey, if it's booting pretty fast on that, that's... that's impressive. Because, yeah, this is pretty garbage. Okay, so my laptop and my system, not MX Linux. It's actually pretty cool. All right, here's the welcome screen, which you can go through all this, and this will tell you about the system. We'll go through maybe more of this after we get the system installed, so we'll close that out. Let's see if I can find... Let's see, display... Try to change my resolution. You probably won't have to do this on hardware. This is just because I'm in a virtual machine. So I'm going to set this up for my resolution. Keep the configuration. I hope that's not, fonts are not too small. This is like a conky thing here, and it's going to be jacked up because of switching the resolution in the virtual machine. Again, you probably won't have these issues on hardware. So let's run through the installer. This looks maybe Calamares. I'm not sure. It is actually going to check the install media anyway for me, so let's take a look at that. Okay, let's see. Got that done. Okay. MX Linux independent distribution based on Debian stable. Yeah, Mepis Linux. That was the original version of MX Linux, was Mepis Linux, and then they got with Antix and created MX Linux. Well, I don't know if you can hear that train. I live pretty close to a train track, so I don't know if you can hear that. Anyway, so yeah, it's originally based on Mepis and all that jazz. It's on the Apache free license, and let's see, some Mepis components have been modified for MX Linux. I don't guess Mepis actually exists anymore. I want to go ahead and let it do its manual thing here. It's going to use the entire disk. You can encrypt. This is not Calamares. I actually don't know what this is, but this isn't Calamares. You can do a custom layout, but we're just going to go ahead and do the manual. These actions cannot be undone. Format the disk. Go ahead and start that. Go ahead and let it go through the install process. Here you can change the name. I don't mind leaving all this default for right now. It's just a virtual machine. But you can change your name and all that if you want to. Let's say this is Steve. We'll just do Steve for the computer name. Domain name we'll do Bob. I don't have an MS work group. I don't have any. Well, I take that back. I think my son maybe has a Windows machine in the basement, but I'm not running any Windows machines right now, so I'm not too worried about the work group. But we'll call this Frank. But you can do those whatever you want. Let's see. We have our locale, which is English. I'm not in New York. I'm actually in the Chicago time zone. I'm nowhere near Chicago, but that's the time zone I'm in. You can do your... You want to do local time if you're like dual booting with Windows, but if you're not dual booting or anything like that, just keep this as is. It'll use UTC time. And I like the 12-hour clock because, you know, that's just what I do. Service settings, advanced. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention, actually, this, I believe, uses sysvinit. It doesn't use systemd as the init system. I think it does have like a systemd shim so that you can have programs that rely on systemd still work. But it actually, I think, for the init system uses sysvinit. So you can set up your services that you need by default. This is all good for me. But if there's something you want to enable or disable, you can. Oh, it even has, if you want to do ZRAM swap instead of a swap space, you know, we'll do that. Let's see, login name, I'll do me. We'll do, see if it'll let me do a short password. It will. I don't care about a root account, so that way it'll enable sudo by default. I don't want auto login. Save live desktop changes. I guess if you change the theme or do some editing here, it'll save those settings so that you can boot into it and keep that. And the basic information, MX Linux, volunteers, yada yada. Alright, so we're just going to let it go ahead and finish up. It's installing Grub and getting all that jazz installed. So we'll let it finish up and then we will boot into the system. Okay, so the system is installed and it is ready to reboot. It will ask you if you want to go ahead and automatically reboot, which we will. So I'm going to go ahead and let the system reboot itself and see what it looks like when we boot into a fresh install of MX Linux. And then, yeah, that looks like sysvinit, so we're definitely not using systemd for the init system. Oh, it wants me to remove the disk and hit enter. This is VirtualBox here, so ignore that. We'll go back to full screen. Alright, so we got... Oh, I like the startup animation. That's pretty good. That's pretty cool. Alright, so now we are in MX Linux. This is the login manager. It looks like LightDM. Get that started up. And there we go. Alright, so let's look at... Oops. Yeah, this is the welcome screen I was talking about earlier. Again, I can tell already this system is going to be good on any sort of low-powered system because on my laptop in a virtual machine, this is still really snappy and runs really fast, boots fast and everything. So that's really good, especially since I have a pretty low powered machine, well, low resource machine that I'm even recording this video on at the moment. So if you have a more low resourced system, this would be a great option, I think. You'll want to go through these. If you're new to Linux, if you're new to MX Linux, you'll want to go through the user manual, the frequently asked questions, the wiki, all the tools they provide, which is a lot for MX Linux. They have lots of cool stuff that you can go through and take a look at. Videos. I'm assuming maybe they have some tutorials or something. There we go. Look at that. Okay. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. You can go through and learn a lot about MX Linux. They have lots of resources and lots of things that to kind of get you up and running, get you going. So we will oh, that's cool. That's the package manager, the MX package installer. So you can kind of browse through here and see if there's anything particular you want. You can do Brave even, which is kind of cool. I like Brave. I use several different web browsers, but Brave's a pretty good one. Firefox, a lot of people are really getting upset with Firefox lately because of some of the issues they've had with Mozilla. I haven't really delved into that a lot. I don't get into a lot of the politics on all this kind of junk, but that bothers a lot of people. So, Brave, again, can be a little bit controversial in certain things, but I think it's a good browser. I use it probably as my main browser overall. I use like Molvad sometimes for privacy, things like that. Uh, but Brave is pretty good, and you can install that automatically on here. That's really cool. They have lots of cool things in MX Linux where, um, I mean, I don't know if I would say it's geared towards new users, more so that it's just very convenient, the things they have. There's lots, probably better new user friendly distributions out there, but this one is a good one just for the convenience of all the stuff it offers. So that's why I think that it's really great. I need to actually change my resolution again. Um, so let's go to display. I will change my resolution back to 1920 1080. We'll keep that. You'll notice here that they they have their panel on the side here, which is a little different than what um, XFCE generally is set up as. It's a little weird because they have the menu way down here, which is strange. But uh, again, I guess they like to be unique. You have the power here, and then you have the start menu here. So, whatever. Obviously, this is XFCE, so you can change it any way you want to. Flip it around, change it around, do whatever you want. It doesn't bother me. Out of the box, it looks great. It looks fine. It is extremely snappy and fast, which is cool. So one of the things I wanted to look at here was these MX tools. And again, they have quite a few things here. You have a live USB maker. You have snapshots where you can create a snapshot of your system for backups, which is cool to have that built in. You can do a Troot rescue scan. I've never used this. Yeah, okay, that would be probably if you have another system that you want to Troot into and then do some repairing. That's a more of an advanced thing if you're wanting to get into a other system and get it another install or something and get that up and running. You have a disk manager. A lot of this stuff's going to ask for passwords to get into, but that's just a partition manager. That's all that is. Job schedule. This would be your cron jobs, things like that. If there's something you want to start up and get it up and running, like it's startup or shut down, you can set that up here. Your boot options. Let's take a look at that. Okay, this is just for like grub. So this is like a GUI to where you can change some of your grub settings without having to go through the terminal and stuff. So that's pretty cool. Again, like I said, a lot of things with MX Linux is they have these tools to where you can easily set your system up in different ways without having to rely on the terminal. If that's just you want quick, easy, dirty way of just getting things done, MX Linux has pretty much a tool for everything. So that's cool. Boot repair. If something is going on and you can't get your system running correctly on the boot, you can run a repair on grub. You can back the grub and MBR up. You can do all that kind of stuff to do that. You have user manager. You can set up different user options, add, remove users from groups and things, again, without having to use the terminal. Service manager, again, like I said, it's using sysvinit, but you can set up all your services here. If you want to do a custom service, I'm sure you can set that up yourself for administration purposes. Samba, that would be for like Windows shares, cleanup. Okay, this can just clean up your system, which is cool. You can remove unused Wi-Fi drivers, so you can kind of de-bloat the system in a way. So that's pretty cool. It'll get rid of some of the extra stuff you may not need in your system. Um, Yeah, that's kind of neat. That's really really cool. You can go through the kernels. There's no other kernels installed. So if you update your kernel, like say you don't want your boot partition to get crowded with too many kernels, because if your boot partition gets full and there's no more room and you get another kernel update, your system won't boot. So having this where you can clean up your kernels is good. Again, there's lots of things you can do, clear your cache, all this kind of stuff, just to keep your system, especially if you have a system that has is pretty low on resources, a small SSD drive and such. You don't want to get it filled up with junk. So it has its own cleanup utility. About MX, that should just tell you a little bit about your system, which is cool. And that's the welcome screen as well. So that's, if you need to pop that back up, you can. Bash config, if you want to change some of your settings for the terminal, you can. We have NVIDIA, so if you do have a system with NVIDIA drivers, you can install those easy. Conky, again, that's this little dude up here. You can change some of your Conky settings if you want to. I don't really mess with Conky all that much, so, you know, it's whatever with me. I've not messed with Conky in a lot. Like, you can stop it, you can run it. That way, okay, that reboots back over here. So, yeah, a lot of people like to have this. You can have, like, it tells you about your memory usage, your hard drive usage, CPU, all that kind of stuff. Date and time, obviously, if you need to change that, you can have that there. Kind of look at that, your locale. Network, you can check your drivers, especially if you have like a Wi-Fi driver that needs to be installed or something like that. You can have that there. Sound, I don't know if this is using Pipewire or Pulse Audio. I haven't really checked, but you can check your sound systems here. Obviously just the regular old system sounds. The tour, we'll kind of go through. Oh, cool. That'll kind of explain some of the system here. So if you don't change any of these settings, it'll go through and kind of explain what some of this is. If you're curious about what any of this means, you can kind of go through here and it'll explain a little bit about the system to you. Let's see, brightness and the sys tray. Tweak. What is tweak? Okay, so you can change some of the themes, some settings with the compositor. Like you can use Compton, you can use the built-in compositor or no compositor at all. That's for things like the, like for example, let's see, my terminal. You see this where it is got some transparency. That's usually with the compositor, enables that stuff. So if you have some issues with your system being really low resourced and it's having some problems with compositing, you can disable all that stuff and it might make your system a little bit snappier. Your display and all that jazz, you can change that here too. Lots of little options and things you can do. So that's cool. Papyrus colors. Okay, you can actually change the color of your Papyrus folders. That's cool. All right, so for example, Papyrus is the icon theme. That's like these little folders and everything here, the little icons on the system. So I'm curious if this is real time. Let's change this, say, to purple. Doesn't look like that did it automatically, did it? No. Oh, create. There we go. What'd that do? No, it still didn't work. Let's do dark. Create. Okay, so it's got to actually run through it. I've never used this before, so I don't know what this is doing. Okay, icon theme created. Change icon theme in MX. Okay, so you got to change it here. There we go. Okay, so you can change the theme for the icons. Let's do Papyrus Dark. Why not? I still didn't change it to that color. Oh, Papyrus Colby theme dark. It named it, didn't it? There it is. Alright, now... Huh, still didn't really work, did it? I have no idea. Supposedly changed it, but I don't see where it actually did. I probably did something wrong. Who knows? Anyway, I've never used that before, so that's interesting. System keyboard, yada yada. Deb installer, if you have an actual Deb file, which is just a Debian install file. If you downloaded one from the internet, you want to install it that way. Fix GPT keys. This is probably for like the package manager. If something is messed up, like it'll pull the keys for Brave or any extra repositories you have. It'll check your keys to make sure things are installed correctly. Package installer. Here's the actual package manager, which is pretty cool. Oops. Okay, you can enable repos. Okay. Oh, you can search for anything. So let's say, for example, fish. I can install fish from here. Install fish is just a terminal emulator. Well, a shell, I mean. The following packages were selected. Okay. So you can install that there. That's pretty neat. Okay, yeah, there we go. Probably, let's see, terminal. Fish. Yep, fish is installed. So that's pretty cool. Okay, test repo if you really want to enable the test repo, backports, anything you need from Debian backports, Flatpaks. So here you can install Flatpaks. So let's say OBS. There's OBS Studio. So you can install your Flatpaks from here as well. So that's pretty cool. A very bare bones, minimal package installer, which is actually kind of cool. I like their installer. Or their package manager. It's pretty neat. UEFI manager. Okay, it'll actually mess with your UEFI system. So, oops. I ain't worried about that. Again, that's for like your system, boot and all that for your hardware. And then you have system info, which just gives you a little bit of information about your system. If you need it, you can format a USB, yada yada. So there's that. Again, I installed Brave, so there we go. Looks good. You can import if you really want to. But there we go. We have MX Linux installed. Now I just used the regular edition. So yeah, 6.1. So it's an older kernel, but yeah. I'm assuming, yeah, it does have fast fetch installed. Okay. That's actually not in the main Debian repos for the Bookworm, but it's there. And of course, I made that way too big now. There we go. Control plus minus. Yeah, thought I did that. There we go. But they have fast fetch. That just gives you a little bit of information about the system. But anyway, that's a quick look at MX Linux. And that's pretty much all I got for you. Hey, God bless you guys. I pray you have a great rest of your day. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff if you like it. If you didn't like it, then leave me a really nasty, ugly comment and tell me how ugly I am and stupid I am. I love those comments. They're great. So anyway, that's MX Linux. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks a bunch, and God bless y'all.